It's Luke and Naomi.
Episode 71. I don't have a 71 relevant number. Like it's the 71st of anything. So
there's no reference for 71.
There's no 71 reference. Unless you want to go to hockey and the Red Wings and Dylan Larkin, but that is I think, way beyond most of our listeners anyway. If you
we
are
don't
a hockey
need to
fan,
do that anyway.
If you're a hockey fan, shout it out because we can talk some hockey on the Facebook or something like that for fun. Why not?
Yeah.
So episode 71, we are back after a little bit of a hiatus. We like to just get lazy, take a week off or so.
That's right.
So we had, Naomi had to do some training for her job, which took us out of town for a couple of days. And then as soon as we got back, we were in a wedding.
That's right.
Which is
like the day I got back, like the next day was the rehearsal and then the wedding.
And then
so
the wedding
it was
on
like
Saturday,
busy.
And so I've been in a handful of weddings. I was trying to count while we were at the wedding, but this is the first time you were in a wedding as a bridesmaid.
Yes. Yeah, this is the first time.
So thoughts on that? We'll find out if they listen. It
is definitely a unique experience being a part of the wedding compared to just sitting there watching it.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff you don't think about, like the timing of walking down the aisle and things like that. Because, again, when Luke and I got married, we eloped. So we didn't do any of this stuff either.
No rehearsal even.
Yeah. So this is legit the first wedding I was a part of.
Wait. Have you not been at a wedding?
Well, I've been at a wedding, but like sitting in the pews and all of that kind of stuff.
Paying attention to the timing and the showmanship of it all.
Yeah, you don't think about those kind of things, So this was the first time being a part of it, and it's honestly like a really awesome experience because you're just surrounded by people that are the absolute most happy for the people getting married. Like, don't get me wrong, you're surrounded by that at the regular wedding too. But, I mean, you usually have a few people bickering back and forth about, like, are they ready yet? I'm getting hungry or something.
Yeah, which I wonder what time's dinner. Are they going to serve us by tables or just let us all go up at once? How's this going to work?
You have all of that. And compared to being in the wedding where everyone is just like, oh, my gosh, you look so beautiful. How you're doing your hair. Where did you fly in from? All of that kind of, it's just sweet and cute, and it was a wonderful experience.
So shout out to the new Mr. and Mrs. Cavalry, or is it Calvary? I always screw that up.
You got to look at the beer tap.
Now I really hope they didn't listen, or they don't listen to this
Busted.
one. Val and David, we love yous.
We do. We absolutely do.
I know how to say Kramer if he had taken her name. That's easier.
Nah,
Anyway, it was a lot of fun. But now that you mentioned that this is new, you were kind of running through that. I want to ask you, let's do our review questions for being in a wedding. How about that for your first time?
Okay.
So right off the bat, did you like it?
I did like it.
All right. I figured you would. What did you know about being in a wedding going in?
I was probably going to have to hold some flowers and basically whatever other bridesmaids ask you to do, you just do. It's a team effort to make sure that the wedding goes well and that the bride and groom are happy.
All right. So what were your thoughts going in, knowing that?
I don't know. Like easy peasy.
Okay.
I don't have a problem following directions. If someone says, hey, go move that table, you got it.
And of course, doing it for a friend too makes it easier.
Of course.
What surprised you about being in your first ever wedding?
How long it takes to get your hair done. That is
you were in that chair for a minute.
Yeah.
And we felt special.
I think it was like an hour and a half, honestly.
We felt extra special, of course, because we were only the only couple in the wedding.
That's right.
So
extra special.
There was folks with their significant others there that were in the wedding, but we were the only couple in the wedding. So let's see here. Would you have liked it more or less if you were in a wedding when you were younger?
Probably less, because I feel like being honest, like I think I'd probably make it a little bit about myself.
A little bit more selfish in the younger years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad that wasn't the case because I don't want to be that brat. So
what was your favorite part of being in a wedding for the first
time? Favorite part was definitely like doing the pictures and stuff like that. Like it was fun. Like, hey, do the slow-mo walk and all of that kind of stuff. Like that was definitely fun. I think just, being there, being asked to be a part of such a special day was was my favorite.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailed it. And made it up for me mispronouncing their last name, too. Do you want to answer your least favorite part? What was your least favorite part?
Least favorite part was not as soon as I got up there, but like right as everything started, while like Val was walking down the aisle, I was already crying. And like, at least when you're sitting in a pew, nobody's looking at you. It's cool. I mean, no one was looking at me anyways, because she was walking down the aisle at that time. Right. But like, as she got up, I'm trying to like wipe away the tears from my face, because I'm like, stop. Like, nothing has even happened yet. I was
staring Naomi down with the biggest shit-eating grin you've ever seen, because I was trying to get her to cry more. Yeah, I was trying to get you to cry more. And like, it was a fairly dry-eyed wedding. Yeah. For the most part. I don't believe I saw Val cry much.
I don't know. Weddings just get me.
But she's one of the tougher people I think I've ever met, too. Yeah. So there's that. Her dad, I thought I caught a little bit at first, but he seemed to pull himself together.
Yeah, I thought he looked like he was getting teary-eyed. I'm not sure, again, because I became a mess real fast and had to stare up at the sun and the trees and act like I was just looking at scenery.
Stare at the sun.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So.
Shout out to our friend Jasmine, who officiated the wedding and has never done that before.
She did so great. That was awesome. And can you just for a second think like your best friend officiating a wedding for you? Like,
it's a great idea.
It's so sweet.
It is.
Compared to just somebody.
I was part of a wedding in 2021. My best friend got married. I was the best man. Our other best friend was the officiant. Yeah. And he went by, I've known him the longest, but we're the closest. So that's how he deciphered that. And I thought it was a genius idea. Now, in that situation, Brendan is a musician and performer. Yeah. So it was like, that's a good choice, too, because I will hide behind a microphone and talk to a bajillion people, but standing in front of people, no, thank you.
You don't think you could officiate a wedding?
I mean, I think I could. Would I be as excited about that as being the best man? Hell no. Okay. Best man, you give a speech. It's like a minute and a half. I'm in, we know radio, so I know how long a minute and a half is. Like, I have nailed this. I can stop now and, stuff like that. So let me see here. We left off of these questions. Would you recommend being in a wedding to someone else who has not been in a wedding?
As long as that person is important to you. I also advise on the idea if somebody asks you to be in a wedding and you're not that close to them, probably not. Yeah. You may think that like, oh, cool, I'm taking on this and this is cool and whatever. But I think it kind of loses its meaning there.
A little bit, right. I see that.
So I would advise you, if you were asked and it is a close friend, yes.
So we're going to forego the last two, but we do have one more. So I can't ask you if you'd stop and watch it if it's on TV.
Would I stop and be in a wedding if I could? You mean like just run up and join in? Sure. Why not?
I mean, are you happy you were in it? Obviously, because you start out with did you like it? Now, for the movies, those two different questions make sense, at least to me. Yeah. But would you do it again?
I don't know, actually, because I have this new running joke where it was my first and only wedding that I was a part of.
All right.
And I think that makes it extra special. So I'm, going to just cut off people in my life so that nobody asks me to be in their wedding.
If you're planning on asking Naomi to be in your wedding, she's going to say no.
I'm going to say no because
just done.
Val won.
Done. Donezo. Yeah. Big congratulations to those two. It was an awesome day.
We had a lot of fun.
It was really, they did a lot of the traditions, but also it was very informal. Yeah. So it was really well done. The ceremony was quick. They got everybody, eating and back to the bar and stuff like that fast.
And Luke was so happy because they didn't do the chicken dance.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was his favorite wedding because they didn't do that.
Well, I actually helped set up the music situation, so I had control. If I really wanted to, I would have just turned it off.
Yeah,
I mean, I was over here. Like, there was only 4 of us allowed to touch the music at all, so I could have. But yes, you were right. I was over the moon. I didn't even realize, honestly, till you just brought it up. But
I feel like that means a lot to you.
God, I hate the chicken dance.
I know you do.
Shout out to Valerie and David, not only for getting married, but for not playing the damn chicken dance. Yeah. That's how you do that. All right. So that was a lot of fun, and that really shut us down for last week. Honestly.
Oh, it did. We were burnt out for a while.
Oh, yeah, totally. So that's what happened to, that's why episode 71 is now instead of a week ago.
Yeah.
Then
that's why.
Sure. That's the ticket. Mm-hmm. Last night the Oscars went down. Oppenheimer won for Best Picture.
I heard.
Robert Downey Jr. took Best Supporting Actor.
Nice.
And we just watched Oppenheimer. I don't know if we watched it before we recorded the last episode or not, but
I don't know. We watched it recently. I enjoyed the movie.
First time ever, right? That we've watched a movie that has won an Oscar.
Probably.
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And Robert Downey Jr., killer for him. In 20 whatever, just before they made Iron Man, the studios were like, we will not hire him at all. Then they did, and he's gone on, and now he's good for him. Anyway, very cool. Let's see here. Speaking of showbiz and all of that junk, tell us what a rider is, Naomi Lynn, because you knew about these things before I did.
A rider? Oh, like when somebody famous comes to your town, usually like a musician. And they'll have like their list of demands.
Yeah.
Not really demanding. Sometimes they are, but usually it's stuff like, specific things like 6 12-packs of Sprite and 3 12-packs of Coca-Cola for, the stage crew, a deli platter, local whiskey.
That was a good one.
M&Ms, just things that they want while they're in your town performing. They usually send out a rider, and somebody's got to go pick up that stuff and have it ready for them.
Listen to how stupid I am.
What?
We had to reset the computer before we started this episode, and I forgot to pull everything back up.
Oh, okay.
So thank you for telling us about the rider while I'm pulling up the story I'm looking for.
Yeah, there you go.
I really didn't know about these until I got into radio and was part of the station in Utica, New York, and we had a couple of pretty big country acts come through, and then I found out about the rider. And I mean, you've seen it in movies and stuff like that where there has to be just a bowl of just green M&Ms or whatever.
Yeah, and some celebrities are really that picky about certain things where a bowl of just the green M&Ms, or a deli platter, but it can only be turkey cut into triangles and the cheese cut into squares. So it's whatever they want, and they kind of have that ability. So
yeah, I mean, hey, if you want them to perform in that city, in that arena,
and be
in that
happy,
situation,
yeah,
right. So Kevin Hart's rider came up.
Okay.
Now, musicians I have thought about, a bunch, because I've seen a couple. Never really seen anything crazy. You mentioned the local whiskey. I thought that was a cool suggestion.
Yeah.
When we were in New Mexico, everybody would come to town. All they needed was just a place to play. So
that's right.
We never had to deal with a rider, thank God. But Kevin Hart's rider has recently come to light. I don't know, whatever. And because I'm super not used to these, and I do know some can be crazy, I wanted to get your take on these, because you have seen, I think, just a handful more than I have anyway, right? So a 9-page rider, does that sound normal to you?
What font are we using here? Because already that sounds like a lot.
I mean, this is like
9 pages.
I want to say 12-point font, maybe.
Okay. I feel like 9 pages is a lot, but Kevin Hart is I'd say big star, but he's a little short, so
that's fantastic. So
such a dad joke. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
The gist of the reason that the rider actually came out is because towards the end of it, it actually says something about the police. It has a whole police section in his rider. So it says there shall, and it literally says shall. There shall not be any police officers present in the backstage, dressing room, hallway, front of house, mixed position, or in the front of the stage unless required by tour security or tour manager. Uniformed officers will not be allowed to search guests as they enter the building. We will need a report for the number of persons arrested and or ejected. Upon request, police escorts must be arranged in order to facilitate artist vehicles' arrival to and departure from the venue. Escort must be empowered to route vehicles through any potential traffic delay.
Oh, so he's got to have sirens.
Under no circumstances are vehicles to be allowed to encounter any delays due to traffic.
What if there's an accident? I mean, you can't predict that kind of stuff. Plus, if there is like a bunch of police sirens and like a limo coming, like I'm going to turn my head. I'm going to be looking. I'm probably going to slow down.
A little bit, right?
That's going to cause traffic jams.
And so, okay, fine. All right. I guess we can accommodate that. We'll plan it out. We'll
do our best.
We'll do our best. Yeah. Maybe we'll block off some roads if we have to. We'll know a couple of weeks in advance, right? No, absolutely not. Times for escort will be determined on day of show by the tour manager. So they think they're going to call the police and go, hey, Kevin Hart's ready. Get your ass over here and turn them sirens on.
Oh, Okay, that sounds about right. Sure.
Promoter shall use his best efforts to organize this service in advance and to accommodate local law enforcement.
I'm gonna just say that I tip my hat to the promoter that has to deal with all this, because it's not gonna go over the way they expect, and that person's probably gonna get chewed out pretty bad, and what a mess.
Insane, right?
Yeah.
So I saw that. I was like, okay, that's a funny story. That is a little out there and all of that stuff. But because the rest of the rider is available, I had to check this out.
Yeah. What else we got on there?
So it is a lot of stuff that you would probably guess. And he travels with an entourage too. So he needs like a star dressing room, then a catering room, and then like 2 other rooms. And in each one of these rooms, he says a 55-inch or bigger television with cable, satellite, and a working remote, of course, because you can't have a large refrigerator. But it's not any refrigerator. It has to be a single door.
Okay.
And the door has to be glass.
Interesting. Okay.
Of course, 8-foot tables, 2 8-foot tables skirted for catering, 60-inch round table, 8 padded chairs, 4 wireless internet signs posted around. I don't know why.
Okay.
2 power strips must be powered on and placed on end tables, 6 trash cans. This is very, specific in all of that stuff. But then for the catering room, all of the same stuff except for 4 high top tables. The TV, the same thing. The wireless internet signs posted around. I don't know why that's a big. Hey, don't forget we have wireless internet here. Is he traveling with somebody who's just crotchety and hey, where's the wireless internet?
Or like, maybe it's got like the Wi-Fi password on it or something.
Yeah, that's
so
probably,
nobody has to worry about it. It's posted everywhere.
That's probably what it means, right?
Yeah.
So then he gets another room, private room with in-suite dressing room. Guess what? 55-inch plus television.
Yeah.
All it like every single table is measured out to the size that they want. Full-size couch, love seater, 2 easy chairs, small refrigerator. This one doesn't have to be a glass door, thankfully.
Well, here's the thing, though, too, with all the measurements and all of that. This isn't his first rodeo. So at some point, that somebody put 4 tables in a room, but they weren't big enough. So they're like, F it, we're not going to have this happen again. Measure the dang table. And then they spell it out completely. So it's like, you can't mess this up.
My favorite is the power strips. Must be powered up and placed on end tables.
They don't even want to click the button or plug it into a socket. It's got to be ready to go.
And it has to be on the end table. I refuse to pick it up off the floor.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
Refuse. Absolutely will not. Oh, management, by the way, does not need a 55-plus inch TV. Just any television.
Oh, okay. I would get them like an old school, like big box one with like the rabbit ears. That's the TV you get.
Are you ready for his food and drinks?
Oh, I love this part. This is the best, yes.
So I would have to assume that this is for him and his whole crew, right? It has to be for everybody.
If it's a lot of food, I would assume so.
Except for there's a list for other food and snacks for guests, too.
Maybe that's guests that come by to hang out with the entourage.
I guess, right? So everything must be set and ready before 4 o'clock. All drinks must be kept cold in the refrigerator. No ice chest, no coolers.
Okay.
No water dripping on Kevin Hart's hands at all.
No way.
48 bottles of spring water. Keep 12 at room temperature.
Okay.
12 bottles of Essentia alkaline water. 12 20 fluid ounce bottles, by the way.
Yeah.
4 Pepsis, 4 Pepsi Zeros, 4 Sprites, 4 Mountain Dews, 4 Canada Dry Ginger Ale, 8 Red Bull Watermelon, 4 Red Bull Tropical, 1 hot tea setup with a bunch of different teas, 1 Keurig coffee machine with assorted K-cups, 1 French Vanilla Coffee Mate small bottle, 100 red Solo cups. They must be red. And it says that in big letters.
Huh.
1 cocktail shaker with strainer, 1 cooler or bowl of clean ice, continuously refreshed by attendant. No dirty ice. Then the alcohol.
Oh, there's got to be quite a list for this, right?
Yeah, the 2 tequilas that are as fancy as you've ever heard, 4 other tequilas that are fancier than that, 1 Cointreau liquor, 1 Saint Germain elderflower liquor, because why not? 1 simple syrup bottle, 24 bottles of Corona beer. So everybody's just getting lit.
I guess so. Not a lot of beer there, though.
The one thing in here, dessert is chef's choice, but no cookies.
Oh, okay.
The chef
Let's bake him a cake.
Hot soup, no pork for 8 people, 40 pieces of chicken wings, beef entree, chicken entree, fish entree, green vegetables, starch. It says for 10 people for all of this.
Okay.
6 vegans apparently travel with him because steamed brown rice, dinner rolls, small fresh cut fruit plate for 5 people. Only 5 of his crew eat fruit. So there's that. This just goes on and on and on and on, and then you get to the stool.
The stool.
I've never really thought about this, but his stool is so specific.
Oh, you mean the one he's going to use on
yeah,
stage?
So we've all seen the
yes.
comedians on stage with the stool and the microphone, and there's like usually a bottle of water, sometimes a towel.
Yeah.
On the stool. There is literally
sometimes a glass of whiskey.
Sometimes.
Depending on the entertainer.
There's literally a picture of the stool. This is a 2-page part for the stool. Only acceptable stool in giant letters, and there's a picture of it. And then the next page has the full measurements of the whole damn stool.
Okay, but hear me out here. Remember my comment about the table?
Yeah.
I betcha at one point they asked for a stool and someone brought out the wrong kind of stool. Either one with like 3 legs and so he couldn't sit on it right, or one with a back and he didn't want that. And it was like, how dare you get me this stupid stool?
One that was just as tall as him, probably.
Right, so they finally had to be very specific about it. And, Kevin Hart is a big enough actor.
Big enough name.
Comedian, all of that. Where I feel like, especially if you're going to be doing a show for an hour and a half or an hour or whatever, you're doing comedy, you can be as precise as you want about the damn stool. Like, you can have it measured to whatever measurements you want. But as long as you get that rider to somebody with plenty of time to find the most ridiculous stool that you asked for.
I know, and so it's not that crazy. It just is a lot, and it is so fascinating to me. I hope it's fascinating to anybody else, because I know that was a long time just to say that's crazy.
It is crazy.
But it is just insane. And I mean, if you ever get a chance, I think you can Google it at this point. It's out there. Kevin Hart's rider, and just look through the list of all. I didn't name half of the food or the other stuff. There's measurements for damn near every single thing. There's a specific mic stand in there. There's all kinds of stuff, which is just absolutely crazy. But that's it for the Kevin Hart rider. I just wanted to get that out there and how insane it is. Probably will be our topic for next week as well. We'll get that.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll also get to that JFK review in just a minute, too. Extra long episode for an extra long movie. How about that?
Perfect. It's because you missed us last week, so we're going to drag this one out.
That's right.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, or something, a couple episodes ago, I don't know how you want to put it, we talked about, we ruined everybody's wishes.
That's right. You started with a wish. I wish for $1 million. And then the next person would comment and be like, granted, you got $1 million, but it's $1 million in Monopoly money. And then they would ask for their wish. I wish I had a boat, and then the next person would ruin that, and so
Your
on
wish
and
is
so
granted.
forth.
You have a boat, but it's made of Lego.
I'd be okay with that still. That's cute.
Well, I mean, it's a Lego-sized boat.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't know if actual Lego would float, though. If you were making a full-size boat out of Lego.
That's okay. It'd still be pretty darn cool.
Somebody's got to have a TikTok of that out there, I'm sure, at this point.
Check out this giant Lego boat.
So the reason we bring this back up is because, first of all, if you haven't seen the chain, jump on it, have some fun, check it out. It's on our Facebook page, Luke and Naomi On Air. But our friend Brian in England doesn't do social media and Facebook and all of that stuff. And we told him, Brian, if you want to, go ahead and we'll start a chain with him.
Yeah.
And since Brian is kind enough to answer all of my ridiculous American questions about England and all of that stuff, why not?
Yeah.
So we sent Brian, we said, we'll start right at the beginning. We told him, we wish for a mansion and ruin the chain. So he says, I grant your wish for a mansion, but it comes back one brick at a time in a weekly magazine, like those old models.
Oh, gosh. That's horrible. Wow, Brian.
I mean, at least they're weekly
Not
issues.
Not that it's haunted or that half of it is falling apart or you're losing the land under it or anything like that. No. You get a brick of it once a week.
Once a week. It better be a damn small mansion if you want it to be finished by the time you die.
For real, I don't even want that. Just give me a hut at that point.
That's fantastic. All right. Are you ready for Brian's wish?
Yeah. Let's see what he wishes
No, if
for.
you don't remember, Naomi said she was going to do her best to ruin his wish, on the fly as we go. So here you go. Brian says, I would like a private island, please.
Okay. wish granted, you can have a private island, but you can't get there. No trespassing. You own it; it's yours, but you can't be there.
All the land around it, all the water, is
infested with sharks, and you can't fly above it because it's all netted in and everything. It's yours. Right. Like, that is your island. You just can't do anything with it. You can't visit.
I was gonna say, and this is for all my New Yorker friends and stuff like that. You can have a private island, but it is on the St. Lawrence River in Alexandria Bay, around the Thousand Islands area, and it is only 8 square feet.
Oh, perfect. That's a better one. I kind of panicked on that one.
It will have a plant on it because technically to qualify as an island in the St. Lawrence River, it has to have, I think, a tree.
Okay.
And you have to be able to stand on it.
Yeah. 8 foot by 8 foot. Yeah. Tree. You can stand there. Perfect.
8 foot by 8 foot and a sapling.
I like it. I like your answer better. Let's go with that.
Also, it's the winter.
How you ruined that wish. That's
right. So there you go, Brian. And then do you want to give him another wish for him to re-ruin?
I got nothing. I got nothing that I want ruined, you know?
I wish for a bigger island than Brian. So there you go. Thank you for playing along with that, Brian. Thank you, everybody who jumped in on that chain, too. Again, it's still there. Facebook, Luke and Naomi on air. Jump in on that if you haven't. We had a lot of fun with it. I absolutely loved it.
It was a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, so, all right, let's see here. It is time now for some random facts, and thanks to Mr. Paul Moore, I know what to call it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I was trying to call it episodic. I don't even think that's a word. It's not weekly because we don't always do the show weekly. It's certainly not daily as it used to be. So I said, Paul, you're good with speaking the English. What do I call this? He said, I think recurrent dose of Did You Know is what we'll call it.
Recurrent is very fitting.
So thanks to Mr. Paul Moore.
Now let's see if you can remember that, though.
I wrote it down.
Oh, smart.
Usually,
smart.
It's usually half the problem right there is remembering to write it down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just screwed. Here is your recurrent dose of Did You Know? Some random facts for your episode 71. See what I did there? Oscars were last night as we record. So did you know the Oscar statuette is actually called the Academy Award of Merit?
No.
They're literally going for a gold star.
Oh, look at that. You get a gold star, and you get a gold star.
But not you.
Nope.
Not you, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Nah.
A couple people are bummed about that. Many theories as to how Oscar became called Oscar, but no one knows for sure. Betty Davis claims that she nicknamed the award after her first husband. His name was Harmon Oscar Nelson. Others say it happened before that in 1931 when a librarian and Academy executive named Margaret Herrick saw the award and said it looked like her uncle Oscar. And there are others as well. Regardless, they adopted the nickname, the Oscars, the statues, the Oscar, in 1939. Did you know the guy who designed the Oscar statue went on to win 11 of them?
Interesting.
His name is Cedric Gibbons. He was a production designer. He won Oscars for Best Art Direction in a couple of movies that I've never heard of.
I'm not surprised.
An American in Paris and The Bad and the Beautiful.
Okay.
So, I mean, if those were post-1960, I'd be surprised. Did you know the most common domain extension is .com?
I would assume so.
Most of us know that. 45.5% of all websites have that domain. The second most common, guesses?
.ca.
.org would be the second most common. And the third most popular, you want to guess that one?
.gov.
.ru, which begins to Russia, or belongs to Russia.
Oh.
So a lot of people, I guess. Did you know that Cisco, like Cisco Systems, the computer company, not Cisco, not to be confused with the thong song.
That's all I was thinking, honestly.
Cisco Systems, did you know, released a product called the iPhone in 1998. It was a desk phone with a sliding keyboard and a touch screen.
Really?
It flopped, but that did not stop them from suing Apple 9 years later.
Yeah, I would
when
too.
The real iPhone came out.
Yeah.
Lawsuit eventually settled, of course, because Apple had all the money. Yeah. And finally, did you know Billy Crystal turned down the chance to be Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story? So it went to Tim Allen, of course. When Pixar found out that Billy Crystal called it the biggest mistake of his career, they offered him the role of Mike in Monsters, Inc.
Oh, cool.
They're like, hey, here you go. Come do this one.
Yeah.
And Monsters, Inc. is fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Monster University, but We'll have to remedy that sometime soon. That is your recurrent dose of Did You Know? Thank you, Mr. Paul Moore. Let's see here. We didn't do really a topic before last week or last episode. Can't get away from that anyway.
Yeah.
Last episode, we talked about the hiccups or $1 billion thing, I think.
Yeah.
Which, if you missed out on that, the question was you're offered the chance to flip a coin. Tails get you $1 billion. Heads gives you continuous incurable hiccups for your entire life. And not flipping the coin, choosing not to flip it, you get both.
Yeah.
So you get the $1 billion, but you have incurable hiccups for the rest of your life. Yeah. What are you going to choose? Naomi said,
I'm not flipping the coin. I'm taking both.
We're taking both.
I want the money, and I'll deal with the hiccups.
That is just insane.
I know. It'll be cool, though.
Think
about all the money, though. All that money.
I'm taking the coward's way out, I guess is probably a politically correct way to say that. But Brando wrote us, and how about this? He said he has an allergic reaction to codeine that gives him uncontrollable hiccups. He was put on a painkiller that had it after surgery and literally couldn't sleep or anything because of the hiccups. They got so bad they hurt him after a while.
Really?
Yeah, he says, I would flip the coin, and if I landed on hiccups, because he would flip the coin because he wants the chance at the $1 billion.
Yeah.
If he said, if I land on hiccups, I would accidentally fall face first from a bridge above the freeway.
Oh, my gosh.
Same.
It was that bad?
Same, Brando. Yeah. I said, that's rough, but man. I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels that way, that, like, the hiccups are so just no to me.
I feel like you'd be tired enough eventually. You'll just fall asleep with them. It'll probably take quite some time to get used to.
Just no.
$1 billion.
You almost talked me into it. Yeah, I guess you get used to it. No.
$1 billion.
Absolutely not.
You know what you could buy with $1 billion?
Not a cure for the hiccups.
Your own private island, Brian. One that you can actually be on.
A bigger one than 8x8.
Yeah.
Brian says he would pass on the coin toss, take the hiccups and the $1 billion, but pay a hiccupologist to cure him. I don't think that's a real thing. Also,
I like how he tried to get around that one, though.
Specifically said incurable hiccups for your entire life.
Yeah, so don't waste your money paying that guy, because it ain't going to help.
So if anybody wants to weigh in on that, you absolutely can. Let us know your thoughts on the Facebook page, on the YouTube channel, what have you, because I'm interested to find somebody who agrees with Naomi. Hell yeah, hiccups, I'll take it.
$1 billion.
You're not looking at the correct end of the consequences.
Listen, I'm here for the money.
Just insane. That is absolutely terrible.
I don't think you realize how much $1 billion is, though. We're not talking about $1 million here, and heck, I might even do it for $1 million. That's a lot of moolah.
I can't imagine going to my friends. Hey, you want to go to my private island? And they'd be like, no.
You're
not
annoying.
At all.
I'd be like, all right, more space for me.
So, yeah.
They would just think that, like, I've already started drinking. I've got the hiccups,
my God.
It's fine.
No, just absolutely not. That's terrible. Somebody please agree with me, or at least agree with Naomi, because she's out here twisting, because I haven't heard anybody agreeing with her on this one. So there we go. On the Facebook page, you will find another question. I want to know your crazy artist writer. Let's say you're super famous comedian or performer. What's going to be in your rider? You can name us one big insane thing, or you can give us a ridiculously detailed list like Kevin Hart's, and the best ones we'll read next episode.
I would need a masseuse.
A masseuse? That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's not even crazy. It's just a great answer.
I would have a masseuse. I would have a fancy smancy coffee maker and somebody there to make the coffees for me. Probably a bowl of Skittles.
Okay. Just can't get away from the candy?
No, absolutely. Well, absolutely not. But it would be nice to just have a nice glass bowl of Skittles and just walk by and grab like one or two and know that they're always there. I'm here for that.
You got to have an attendant to refresh the bowl.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it has to stay in a constant mound, right?
I like that idea. Well, the guy doing the coffee can do that too. Let's not waste money here.
No, there must be a dedicated. Now you're creating jobs. You got to have a coffee guy. You got to have a Skittles person. And it's the venue's problem.
Hey, that's my Skittles, man.
It's the venue's problem to supply those people.
Okay. Well, I guess, yeah. I would like to create some jobs, sure.
So,
okay.
There you go.
I'll have a Skittles guy.
I can't honestly think of anything realistic.
Think about the drinks. You would want craft beer from that area, wouldn't you?
I'm also thinking about performing. So,
yeah, but you can have that afterwards.
Okay,
you're
right.
Just before you go on doesn't mean you have to like eat and drink everything beforehand. You're gonna have your after party too.
So I want a hammock. I want a couple of hammocks. I gotta have a hammock for the whole crew.
That's nice of you. Yeah.
Then I want a virtual reality gaming system.
Okay.
So that my friends and I can shoot at each other in VR for hours beforehand.
Okay, there you go.
And then, some sort of insane barbecue setup.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Now, are you doing the cooking
No.
or somebody else doing it?
I was just about to say with my own private pitmaster.
Okay.
As well, and like all the burn ends. So.
And you need like a seasoned guy that just stands at the end and goes like, this section is going to have these seasonings. This section is going to have these seasonings. And you take a bite and you're like, I think it needs more spice. And then he goes, all right, man, and like pulls out some other spices and puts it on top. Yeah, you definitely should have one of those.
All right. Full barbecue pit setup.
Yeah.
Basketball court.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just in case I want to shoot some hoops.
After playing with the VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, VR, then basketball.
Yeah.
And a bowling alley. How about that? So yeah, let us know, what is your crazy rider demand? Your crazy artist rider. We'll take all the
dream big.
Yeah, we'll take all the small stuff out for you. I'm saying you are the biggest artist in the world.
Yeah.
You are Taylor Swift. What is on your rider when you go to the next venue? What needs to be there?
Yeah.
Go-karts also.
Need a go-kart. All right, that's a good one. Yeah.
All right, so that's the topic. Luke and Naomi on air on Facebook. And, of course, you can answer on the YouTube page or on Spotify as well. So that's going to do it for that. Now it is time. I don't know what to do. Smacking the desk is getting old.
Yeah.
But you heard it anyway. It is time. It's a long one. It took us a minute. It takes us extra time because Naomi takes the notes throughout the whole thing.
So I got to pause it a lot.
But this is one that I have, believe it or not, I've seen this movie like a dozen times at least. There was a period where I would fall asleep to this. I've memorized lines on accident, and I don't know why, but I absolutely love JFK.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting for you to have 3.5 days to sit down and watch it.
That's basically what I needed.
So we got watching a King of the Hill episode where Dale Gribble was going all conspiracy about JFK, and I was like, you know what we should watch tonight? Lo and behold, Naomi says yes. And here's her Under a Rock review of JFK.
All right. So I actually had Luke give me a rundown before we started this movie. I know a decent amount about John F. Kennedy. I know there's a lot of suspicion around his death, but I don't actually know why that there is that suspicion. I never really paid attention to why people thought his assassination might have been planned or whatever.
So you really don't know much of the whole conspiracy at all?
No. I know what I've seen spoofed everywhere and like the little bits and pieces, the Grassy knoll and all of that, how many times I've heard that one, but
you've
didn't understand its significance.
Lone gunman is another thing you've probably heard at some point. So.
So I have a feeling this movie review is going to be a little bit different, but we're going to jump into it. And also saying that this was a very dialogue heavy movie again, so a lot of with these ones the review's a little bit harder to do because I'm not going to sit there and just explain this person said this and this person said this then this person said that because that's stupid and you might as well watch the movie at that point.
Well, we're not here to repeat dialogue unless it's like a funny line like, where do you think those stairs go?
Oh,
that's right.
All right, so we start with a little history about Kennedy and Vietnam and the Bay of Pigs with other issues with Cuba and all that. We see a woman who's been thrown from a car. She's all hysterical, and she's yelling, "They're going to kill him," talking about Kennedy and all of that. And then we see some footage from the motorcade. And, of course, all the news coverage finding out that Kennedy had been shot and that he had passed away. So then you get to see how people are reacting too. You got a lot of people who seem upset. They're crying. There's a bar scene, and the one guy is like clapping about it, which
is crazy.
Well, it made me realize, like, hey, we've always been pretty divided, haven't we?
Yeah, that's a great point.
History keeps repeating itself. Like this isn't something new for our country.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So we have Jim Garrison, the district attorney for New Orleans. Apparently, Lee Harvey Oswald had connections to New Orleans, so Jim is like, let's get ahead of this and find out everything we can about this guy, and we'll probably find some stuff that doesn't seem to add up. So now Lee Harvey Oswald is shot and killed, but Jim is still interested in this guy like David Ferry, who used to hang out with Oswald. So they bring him in for questioning, but it doesn't seem like he's telling the truth, so they detain him. Then the FBI gets involved, releases him right away, and says there's no proof that he ever knew Oswald.
Also kind of a slap in the face to the New Orleans DA that they're like, we didn't bring him in, they did.
Yeah.
They kind of did that. David Ferry, played by... You didn't write it down?
No, I didn't write it down, but I know the guy, Pacino.
Nope, close. Pesci.
Yeah.
see why you got the Pacino.
Yes,
Joe Pesci.
There's a good reason for that one, yeah.
Killer in this movie as David Ferry. Just absolutely nails it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, shoot. I forgot what else I was going to say about that.
My bad.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Totally jumped on top of
that. It was something about he's going to find some stuff that doesn't add up. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm sure I'll get to it at some point in here.
That's kind of the crux, right?
Yeah. So we move ahead 3 years. Jim and the senator, they get talking on a plane all about the craziness in the world, all these hippies,
Walter
and
Matthau.
Peace, love, blah, blah, blah.
I love this scene, too.
Anyway, they're talking about how everything has gotten bad since Kennedy died, and they start talking about how it didn't seem to add up, and the best shooters couldn't even make the shot that Oswald had made, and it seems to stir something with Jim, so I bet he's going to go back digging into the case. That's what it was. Lee Harvey Oswald. I think I knew this before, but I had forgotten that he had gotten shot.
Yeah.
And killed before anything actually, went on from there. I'm pretty sure I heard that before, but like that scene in the movie was just like, oh shoot, yeah.
That jarred the memory, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Jim's probably going to start digging back into the case, and of course he is. That's the point of the movie.
That's right.
Jim meets up with some friends and starts explaining some weird things that don't seem to add up to him, like Oswald spending a lot of time in an area of New Orleans where the FBI, CIA, and Secret Service all had buildings.
That's right.
And how a fight that happened between Oswald and some protesters seemed staged, or at least that's how the arresting officer ended up describing it.
Which is just weird.
And lots of notes and paperwork that have all been destroyed. He tells his friends he wants to open the case back up about the assassination of the president. So Jim starts talking to people who would have a little bit more information on Oswald being tied to New Orleans and who else hung out with him. And he's getting all these crazy stories of how like ex-FBI members knew Oswald well and knew the company that he kept.
The plot thickens.
Yeah. Definitely a movie you have to watch for yourself and listen to all the dialogue and hear all the stories being told and how these people were connected. It's really interesting. Obviously, I can't go over every scene and every story told. Like I said, then I would just be like repeating
dialogue,
the movie and all of that. So anyway, Jim and his team meet for lunch and are trying to find more witnesses to investigate what happened, but everyone has died. Like weird stuff, hit and run, single car accident. Things that just seem spooky. They find a couple of witnesses to talk to. Nobody wants to testify, though. Really don't blame them for two reasons. One, they'll end up dead, too. They'll end up dead also. And two,
yes.
If they're lying, obviously, why would they testify?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, that kind of, it adds, as I try to play devil's advocate for this whole movie, the idea that like maybe you're connecting dots that aren't there and maybe people don't want to testify because they're not telling the truth. But I don't know. There was a lot of things that didn't seem to add up.
So at this point in the movie, you say this now, there's a lot of things that don't seem to add up. Have you bought into the conspiracy of it all yet?
I would say probably a little bit.
I'm not asking you if you believe the movie. I'm just wondering if at this point you started to go, oh.
Like, hey, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. There were some things where I'm like, that does seem fishy. But I'm also a believer that, like, there are answers for things. So I like to hope for that. But yes, there was a lot of things that I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, if you're reviewing
Dale
this...
Gribble isn't so crazy, is he?
That's right. If you're reviewing this as completely made up, like even the characters and historical facts, even if all of that was made up, you're saying at this point you're going, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something doesn't add up.
All right, cool.
All right, so like I had mentioned, no one wants to testify. Don't really blame him for that. Jim then goes to that book depository place and reenacts the crime. How long it would take, changes in the parade route, all that. The more he looks into it, the more things don't seem to add up. He ends up meeting with this Clay Shaw guy who is known as Clay Bertrand.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. He's known as that to a bunch of people. After interviewing him, he realizes that he's not telling the whole truth. He's lying about the people he knows and who he's been seen with, and he's lying about his connections to Oswald in the assassination.
Yeah.
Then the story gets leaked to the press that he had talked to this guy. Now everyone knows that the DEA is looking back into the assassination of the president from 3 years ago. So everybody's like freaking out at this point.
And
they're
you
like,
say everyone, the whole country.
Yeah.
At this point, not just like New Orleans, not just Louisiana, but the whole damn country finds out that this guy's going into this assassination and investigating it. And it's like, half the people are like, why? That's, he's a dead man, leave him dead. Yeah. Other half of the people are like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. What's this new information that has come up that would make somebody want to reopen this case?
I can't imagine if that happened right now.
Honestly, that helps fuel that conspiracy juice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
If somebody's like, hey, I want to reopen this up, everyone starts going, there's a reason. That means there's new information. That means something's going on.
That's right.
So of course, a whole bunch of more people are going to get spooked and go, this must be real.
Think about it. If it happened in your lifetime, like, 9/11 went down and then there was that whole conspiracy behind that. But if 10 years after 9/11, this was just 3 years after, whatever. If a handful of years after 9/11, somebody, a prominent law person was like, guess what? I'm going into this.
We need to investigate further.
It would probably be mind-blowing, right?
It would be. And everyone, I think, would kind of stop and go, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't just go, oh, okay, like, sure, investigate further and just get more details.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, no, something changed.
Yeah, I'll
something
sit back
changed,
idly and wait
on?
for your investigation to conclude instead of, speculating my own stuff.
But, so yeah, everyone's freaking out. What new information has come in, all that. It gets very chaotic. Jim ends up meeting with David Ferry, and David's basically telling him everything, but also tells him, you're in too deep at this point. Sounds like ranting and raving of a crazy person.
Of a lunatic, yeah.
Yeah. A paranoid lunatic or somebody who actually might lose their life for the things they've said.
What do you call somebody who's paranoid but right about it?
A lunatic? I don't know.
Okay.
You won't know until after it's too late.
That's another question for Paul, the word guy.
Yeah. Give us a word for that.
It's going to be something so obvious that I can't believe I didn't think of.
Anyways, this guy ranting and raving like a crazy person, but maybe he's not crazy. Definitely makes you think.
A little bit.
So then they find out that the DA office is bugged.
Crazy, right?
So that's getting a little crazy there. And they find out David Ferry died. What looks at
right about the same time too, huh?
What ends up looking like natural causes. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Jim goes to Washington to meet someone who has some information, Mr. X, which was a very interesting part of the movie.
It has got to be, if I had to pick a favorite part of the whole movie, I think the Mr. X scene, Donald Sutherland in Washington, is got to be my favorite. It's just because it's so creepy.
Yeah. That's exactly a great way to describe it. The creepiness of it. Because it's just a conversation that they're having, and they're walking and they sit at a bench for a little bit and everything. But it's just the tone of the conversation that is creepy.
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. X was a part of Black Ops, and he explains some of the stuff that he had done before, like in the late 40s and throughout the 50s and all that. He explains where he was when Kennedy was assassinated, which I believe was the South Pole?
Yeah.
Yeah, they sent him to
on his
the
way
South
back
Pole.
from the South Pole.
Yeah. And then he tells him that it's silly to be so focused on who killed him and not focusing on why he was killed. He's basically saying the chase to find the answer is kind of a distraction. It was more important to think about why he was killed and who benefited from his death. And of course, all these as these situations always do, it comes down to the money.
Oh, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then he tells him he has to take it to court. He's got to do something because at this point, it's now historic. You know?
Yeah.
Like, he can't just sit and go, oh, never mind, and just let it blow away with the wind.
Yeah, like you've stirred up. I think he says something like that too.
Yeah.
You stirred up a whole shitstorm here, or something like that. And like you can't just stop because then they'll kill you. You got to stay basically in the spotlight, I think.
Yeah. So Mr. X then advises him to put something together, and so he does. He ends up arresting Clay Shaw for being a part of the murder of the president. But then Clay gets off with no trial or anything when they first arrest him. Then there's a special report on the news saying Jim drugged and bribed witnesses and lied about all this stuff to start this conspiracy, basically ruining his reputation.
Yeah, which is basically what Mr. X told him would happen. They're going to come after your reputation now because they can't kill you because everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
So if you die, it'll be obvious
that something's going on.
So instead, they're just going to ruin your rep.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
At this point, Martin Luther King Jr. gets assassinated. Jim is certain like this is tied to Kennedy. His wife tries to talk to him, but they end up having this huge fight because he's been more focused on this case than his own family for like months, probably years at this point.
Yeah.
And she says she's taking the kids and leaving, and they're scared for their lives because of all of this stuff that he has been stirring up, which I don't blame her because at that point I'd be like, stop poking the bear. Like, I don't care who's responsible for whose death. Let's forget about it and live a nice cushy life.
But you gotta see his side too, where he first of all is a lawman. He National Guard his whole life. He's protected the truth and justice of the country.
I don't care.
So
Give
when
it
he
up.
sees it going the other way, he's like, this needs to be brought to light.
Yeah, but at the cost of your life.
He's called naive a lot in the movie, and that's probably the best description, I think, of his actions, at least.
Well, he's not thinking about the full consequences of what could happen.
Naivete of it all, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so we see him and his team in a room. They're meeting, trying to figure out what they're going to do about this case. They need witnesses, but of course no one wants to testify. If Jim says what he wants to say, then no one's going to believe him about everything. They're just going to think it's a conspiracy. And now his team is arguing and fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So now we're having major issues. So he ends up going on a TV talk show where they try to make fun of him, but he's actually pretty prepared and well-spoken.
Killed it, right?
Yeah, he has his statements. He doesn't sound like this paranoid conspiracy theorist that they're trying to make him out to be. And then he tries to show pictures to the public from arrests from after the assassination that he's like not allowed to show. The TV host is like, oh, no, we can't do that, laws and such and all that. They keep cutting away from him and all of that. And it's just like, whoa, like if I was an audience member, I'd be like, hey, what's going on? That's a little fishy. Just show the picture. Who cares?
Yeah.
Why do you care so much?
And this is before the internet where everybody can run home and go, wait till you hear what they did to Jim Garrison.
Yeah. Not only that, but, before someone could record it really quick and get a screenshot, a little snippet of the picture, all of that. And then they end up cutting him off at one point and going to commercials. So very suspicious there.
A little bit.
After the show, one of his buddies meets with him at the airport, and they're like, they're going to try to kill you. And Jim just gets upset, and they're like, I'm not going to listen to these rumors being spread like this. I told you we're not going to do this. Tells him to buy a plane ticket and go home. Or he buys the ticket for him and tells him to get a receipt and get home.
Yeah.
Then Jim goes to the bathroom, but it feels like he's being watched. And there's a lot of police presence outside as he leaves. And as he's leaving, like somebody's calling for him, another person's following.
Yeah, the guy comes running out of the stall with his pants halfway down.
Yeah.
Hey, don't you remember me?
Yeah, and then like the police, one guy's asking him, how long were you in the bathroom? And like just weird stuff. So
that is listen, if that happened to me, I'd think somebody was trying to kill me.
Or somebody drugged me, because there's no way that's happening in real life.
Yeah.
Like I must be on something, because no way. So
do not chase me out of a bathroom.
Is he being paranoid? or is there really a hit on him at this point? He gets home, and some of his staff members are there trying to figure out, again, what they're going to do about this trial, and the news is on in the background. So Jim mentions that Kennedy is going to win. The other Kennedy.
Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah. But he says he's going to win, but they're going to kill him, like, before he takes office, before anything happens.
Like they'll never let him win. They'll never let him get that far. He calls it, basically.
Yeah, and sure enough, before the night is over, Kennedy is shot. All right, so now we have Clay in the courtroom. So we're down to the final big moment of this
courtroom
movie.
Scene.
So we have Clay in the courtroom along with Jim and everyone, and it's the trial, and it is not going well. Clay lies on the stand, and we know he lied. I mean, there's one of the cops' testimonies that would prove that he was lying.
When he was booked, he gave up his alias.
Yeah.
They said, because that happens apparently when you get arrested. They ask you if you have any aliases. So I guess I would have to say Luke Austin if I ever got arrested, right?
Yep.
But he says his alias is Clay Bertrand.
Yep.
And then
they don't use the cops' testimony for that.
They kick the jury out of the room.
Yeah. It just seems like a lot of unfair things are happening. Something's not adding up.
Somebody got to that judge.
Well, money talks,
And so does fear.
Big part of this movie was follow the money. Anyway, so Clay lies on the stand, saying no, he doesn't have another name that he goes by and all of this stuff. Lies about a whole bunch of things. And at this point, there's nothing really Jim can do about it. It seems kind of like a lost cause. But then Jim uses his platform to explain what he believed happened in Kennedy's assassination.
Which I love because he's to prove that Clay Shaw is a conspirator, we have to prove that there was a conspiracy.
Yeah. And that's what he starts. And he starts explaining all the information that he's collected. He shows the public information that's not been released, talks about the magic bullet theory. Supposedly a single bullet caused 7 wounds or something. Of course, this rousing speech about people needing to be able to trust their government and all of that intertwined with all of this. Definitely a scene worth watching in the movie. If you don't want to sit through 3 hours of stuff, I think once the last 20 minutes or so, you can watch and get that moment.
It is a good scene too. If that's probably my second favorite whole is that whole explanation. Have you ever seen the Zapruder film before?
It's the actual footage. Yes, I have.
So I'm not positive, but I think that movie is one of the first times the whole of the American public ever saw it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but I feel like I remember it being slightly controversial in 92 or 3 or 4.
I think it was still controversial, especially because they kept going to the back and to the left, to the back and to the left, and kept replaying the worst part of that film, to the point where after the second or third time I had to look away because I'm I can't keep watching this. It's a little too much there.
It's a little real.
Yeah, absolutely. But besides that part of it, that scene is definitely a good scene, definitely worth watching. The verdict for Clay comes, and he's not guilty, which I figured was going to be the case because at that point he didn't bring any
credible.
Yeah.
Any credible witnesses? Any?
There was nothing
substantial information. No real concrete evidence.
Nothing. So I figured he was going to be not guilty. At the end, it honestly wasn't. It didn't even seem like he was trying to convict or anything like that. He was using that platform to talk about the conspiracy to say that there's something more here. So at the end, Clay walks. What's he going to do? Go fishing, all of that kind of stuff. The usual, I don't want to say political talk because he wasn't in politics. He was just tied to important figures. The rich man talk of getting off with something you probably shouldn't have.
Go home and cook some etouffee.
Yeah. Well, he told somebody else in the courtroom that he may go fishing that day or whatever.
You can hear him say that, too.
Yeah.
That's right. Tommy Lee Jones is just amazing in that.
So Jim says that he's going to keep trying and he's going to keep fighting. Movie ends with some true bullet points, certain documents surrounding the case that are going to be released in a couple of years, some even longer from now and all of that.
Yeah, 2029, I believe.
Was the first one, and then like 2039 or something was the second one.
Something went down recently about that, whether it was pushing it off farther or moving it up or something. If anybody remembers what the heck that was, I want to say it was a good 10 years ago, maybe even more. Something went down along those lines. If you remember, let me know, because I cannot remember.
The documents got lost. Burned in a fire.
That's probably what it was, to be completely honest with you. And then one of the bullet points towards the end, too, says around is 72 or 79, a special counsel decided that there probably was a conspiracy and appointed another whatever to investigate it, but nobody has ever investigated it except for Jim Garrison to this day. So,
nobody want to touch that one.
Yeah. So there you go. They said JFK about 1,000 times through the movie, did they not?
They did. That doesn't count.
If you don't know, Naomi absolutely is tickled when they say the title of a movie and, within the movie.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Usually. But this doesn't count.
No, okay. I don't, not thinking about it. Do they actually say JFK or do they just say Kennedy a lot?
I think they say JFK a lot. I'm pretty sure they do.
Right. So, did the government kill Kennedy?
I don't know.
I don't
know.
You can't make a decision based on this, but this is like.
But you got to realize the movie is written to show that there is a conspiracy.
Right.
Like, so it's going to show you everything that proves a conspiracy, not anything that proves there's not a conspiracy.
This is basically Forrest Gump with some real people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got to really kind of look at it like that. Otherwise, you get way too into it, and it's way too easy to get lost in conspiracy theories. Believe me, I know there are no cables underneath the ocean connecting the continents.
Yeah, you and your conspiracy
I kid. But, so, when I was younger, I really I was like, oh, this is such a crazy, look at all the evidence and all that stuff. And it's like, okay,
again,
cut it out.
The movie is going to show you all the evidence to prove that it's a conspiracy. It's not going to show you any evidence that disproves those things.
Exactly.
You're going to connect the dots where you feel like connecting those dots.
Yeah.
From the movie, though, the way it's written, oh, man, that looks like some scary stuff that doesn't add up. I'll tell you that.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Government, if you're listening, we love you.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Go USA.
You're a grand old flag.
That's
You're
right.
a high-flying flag.
Nailed it. Right back to King of the Hill. I love it.
That's right. That's
well
exactly
done.
what I was doing.
That's fantastic. All right. That is Naomi's review of JFK, which got to thank you for hitting them bullet points because, again, we're not just going to sit here and repeat dialogue and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's just too long.
The whole point is to watch the movie again through the eyes of somebody who's never seen it.
And apparently didn't know much about the whole conspiracy
about the
thing
history
about this.
And all of that stuff, too. So, yeah. No lone gunman, huh?
I know.
I'm telling you, that one thing, if any of that stuff is true, that's hard to...
So let me put this out there, too. So if you take out the scene with Mr. X...
Yeah.
The movie loses everything.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that can tell you where it falls on the conspiracy.
But that wasn't like, hey, let's write this into this movie. That was like Jim Garrison wrote a book and said that stuff happened.
Yeah.
So, who knows? JFK. Did you like it?
I did. I did enjoy it. It was a good movie. It did keep me paying attention for a long movie, which is a challenge in itself there.
Well, sure. For anybody, especially a very dialogue-heavy movie.
Yeah.
I was encouraged after you didn't hate Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I didn't mind that movie.
I'm like, okay,
actually.
She got through Oppenheimer pretty well and enjoyed it. So, I had a feeling, plus with the star-studded cast. Now, there is a question that I've been waiting to ask you. Normally with these movies, if you don't know, if you're new to Luke and Naomi on Air, featuring Naomi's Under a Rock reviews, we watch the movie and then I do not say a damn word to her until we record, because I didn't know if she liked it until just those few seconds ago.
Yeah, we didn't say a word to each other when we got done with the movie until it was like, all right, time for bed.
The one thing that we will talk about throughout the movie, though, is the actors, okay? Yeah. So it's like, who is that? Oh, that's Joe Pesci.
Where do I know this person from?
That's a lot of it, because, as most of you know, that will bug the hell out of somebody and take you out of the movie until you realize, oh, okay, I know him.
That's who it is.
I know him because he's Commissioner Gordon in Batman.
Yeah.
Did you know that that's Gary Oldman, Commissioner Gordon from Batman, from Dark Knight,
Wait,
as
which
Lee Harvey
one?
Oswald?
Oh, no. Really?
I held on to that for the last 24 hours. Huh. I was waiting. Gary Oldman's a freaking chameleon. So, I mean,
Which is interesting because I was like, there's something about Oswald that, like, are they going for the creepy vibe? Because it's throwing me off that he's like he's a weirdo.
Killed it.
But it was that weirdo that, like, do I know him? Or is he just so weird that I think I know him?
You know him.
Yeah, apparently I did.
He's Commissioner Gordon in The Dark Knight and, Batman Begins and the other one.
Wow. Okay, mind blown.
That one I've held on to.
More than the conspiracy theory.
I know, right? That one I've held on
that's
to.
That's a conspiracy theory. I don't really believe that that's him.
There you go.
There is no frickin' way.
Perfect.
Bull.
Yeah, Gary Oldman, crazy, right?
Yeah.
I was waiting because I knew you didn't recognize him at all.
No.
Now, like Jackie from Roseanne, Sheldon's mother, Laurie Metcalf.
Yeah.
I knew you would get her as soon as she started talking.
Yeah, She's the voice.
Way younger, so I knew it would take a minute, but like as soon as she got a few lines in, I was like, okay, you know who that is, right? Okay. Yeah. Michael Rooker, who's Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's Bill Broussard. So I figured that would, once you heard him talking, you would know that you knew him from somewhere.
Right.
Again, much younger. All of that. Kevin Costner, of course. Joe Pesci,
that one was
of
easy.
Course. Yeah, all of that stuff. John Candy pops up in there. Yeah. I figure you know all of him. So, all right. So you liked it. What did you know about it going in? You already mentioned not much.
No, not a whole lot. I know that, Kennedy was assassinated. I know that there was a conspiracy around it. I didn't really know the whole story. I know there was something about a book depository and something about like I believe I knew something where it was like there was like he couldn't make that shot or kind of something like that.
Yeah.
Which is repeated over and over and over and over and over and over again in the movie.
That's the whole crux of the case.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts going in, aside from the fact that it was a long movie?
I was just kind of curious watching this, like was I going to, like, all of a sudden be like, oh my gosh, this is a conspiracy? Like, was it going to suck me in? Was I going to, like, sit through it going, okay, I'm watching a movie. This is just, entertainment. Is it going to be believable, And then I just kind of wait and saw what happened.
Do you think it was believable?
Yeah, again.
You kind of said that already.
Yeah,
so.
The points that they made, they made it believable.
So what surprised you?
What did surprise me? I don't know. Probably how much this made me want to, like, again, like some of the war movies we watched, where it makes me want to learn a little bit more about our history.
All right.
Because even small things, I'm like, oh, shoot, I should probably know this. Oh, wait, this is the younger Kennedy, or is this the dad? Wait, who's who? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was it. It makes me realize I don't understand the timeline of our history very well. Where like Vietnam falls, and our issues with Cuba and all of that. Where I'm thinking, that was like the 80s or 90s, wasn't it?
Well, the Cold War, you do kind of think of the 80s because of all of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it started, in the 50s at least. So
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. I do not know our history well enough, and I am a little ashamed about that.
All right. Well, we've got some work to do.
Thanks a lot, JFK movie.
That's right. We've got some stuff to watch that'll fill in some gaps for you. How about that? The next question seems like I already know the answer. Would you have liked it more or less if you saw it when you were younger?
What do you think?
So I first saw this in mid-20s. This is the first time I watched it. And that was the point where, I really didn't know much. So I was like, yeah, this is great. I'm here for it. And, wanted to believe it and all that stuff. I mean, I didn't, but still kind of liked the illusion of it all. So would you have liked it more in your mid-20s, you think?
Mid-20s, probably not. A little bit earlier, probably. Rebellion stages.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything younger than that, no, too long of a movie.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking as well. What was your favorite part?
Probably the Mr. X conversation.
It's just a good scene.
It really is. They when it actually comes to the movie stuff, again, how it felt so creepy, but all they're doing is walking on the sidewalk. All they do is sit down at a park bench, but they made it feel creepy.
It's just such a good, and Donald Sutherland, I could listen to that man, read the phone book, as they say, because that voice is soothing and comforting, but he's telling you terrifying things at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. That's a good favorite. What was your least favorite part? Watching actual human beings' head get blown off.
That's definitely up there. As for the actual like movie part of it, the rousing courtroom scene at the end where Kevin Costner is acting choked up a couple of times, really took me out of the moment there. I'm really? Like, dude, no. Like,
no, sir, Mr. Postman.
You're getting too teary-eyed at the wrong part of this conversation.
But he's so patriotic.
I get it, but like it was just, there were other moments where tears felt like they fit
more appropriate.
Better. Yes.
Okay.
Just saying.
All right.
That's how I felt, and I feel like someone giving a speech, like I don't know, crying during your speech is weird unless it's a wedding.
It is a little like.
Or
whatever.
Obituary.
I guess pretentious maybe is a good word for it, but
I don't know. I just didn't like it, and it took me out of the scene. It wasn't needed.
Okay.
The
man is so deeply concerned and emotional about his country, and Naomi's just like, screw him.
No. Listen, there is an episode
screw that guy
somewhere in our podcast where we were talking about whether Kevin Costner is actually a good actor or not.
Yes.
Go back to that.
This is
so maybe it's just I don't like him. This is an
excellent point. Yeah, you might just.
Okay.
How many more Kevin Costner movies do we have? This might be it. Because we've done Untouchables. We've done, what the hell else did he do? Oh, Bull Durham.
Yeah.
I feel like
we've done a few other where he like showed up and we weren't expecting it. But then we got talking about like Waterworld and.
We have to do Waterworld.
But I've seen that already.
Oh, you have? Okay, never mind.
It's been a long time. But still, doesn't matter. I think maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just don't really care for Kevin Costner as an actor.
Is Kevin Costner a good actor? I know we had a whole debate on that.
We did, because I texted my mom about that, and she said, yes, he is. And I was like, well, I'm going to shut my mouth then.
I love it. That's so funny.
So what were we ripping him apart about? Because now this is bothering me.
It might be Bull Durham.
Okay. All right.
It might be Bull Durham.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that does make sense. That makes sense of why we would get on that conversation in the first place.
He was young. I don't know. I can't really stick up for him as an actor. He's a good actor at times.
I feel terrible.
The Untouchables is another one, where he's... It's just, I feel like he summons the same kind of emotions every time.
Yeah.
And it's, anyway. Okay, moving right along.
Sorry.
Would you recommend JFK to somebody who has not seen it?
Probably.
And how would you recommend it to somebody who hasn't seen
it? It would kind of depend on the person of whether I would recommend it or not. And I would tell them to watch it just with an open mind, because it's a movie that gets you thinking. Whether you believe in conspiracy theories or not, it's a good movie to make you think. Follow the money is conspiracy theory or not, that is a big... You always follow the money. It's a big truth in our society anyway. It is. Not to get all real. But it does make you think. And, that it's important. Instead of having the opinions, like, just thrown at you, to take a moment and kind of make your own decisions from something. So if it's somebody who I think could give it, like, an honest shot and watch it with an open mind... and not watching it for all the entertainment value. Because, again, it is a movie. It is entertainment. Yep. But actually, like, drawing their own conclusions from there, absolutely, I would tell them to give it a watch. All right. Would you watch it again? Possibly. Maybe. Maybe. Stop if it's on TV? Probably not. Because that's a lot. And no matter... what part you're in, like, just no. I don't think so. You're flipping through channels and the Mr. X scene is just starting? Well, I would stop it for that scene. So the answer is yes. Just that scene, though, I think. Are you happy you watched it? I am. I mentioned this earlier, and we asked Naomi, do you like it, or did you like it, and are you happy you watched it? Because, it's not the same question. They are similar questions, but, she can say, no, I didn't like it, but I am happy I watched it because now I know. Yeah. Which was the case with, Hocus Pocus? Did I like it? Absolutely not. That movie is terrible. Am I happy I watched it? Yeah, because now I get a whole bunch of references that are stupid.
Right, there you go. I mean, we've been through a couple where she's like, I'm not a fan, but, I'm glad I watched it because now I know.
Yeah.
So, and anything else? Any other thoughts? Anything you want to add? Anything we missed, didn't talk about that you want to throw in about JFK?
No, it was really interesting. And like I said, movies like this and what was it, Saving Private Ryan, that make me go, gosh, I really don't know enough about our history. And one of the big things, so in one of the scenes, they show the like tombstone and
the eternal flame and all that.
Yeah, and JFK's birthday was like 1917, and I'm like, holy crap, that guy was born over 100 years ago.
That's right.
That's insane to think about. Like my history timeline is just skewed so bad. I don't understand how much time has actually happened between these things.
All that
it's
stuff's
so
weird, though. Like it really is. It's just.
But
it's
it's
tough.
very interesting, and it makes me go, okay. Like I want to learn more about that stuff. I want to know more, and I want to know like truthful things, because you watch these movies, and sure, they've got pieces of truth and stuff in there, but it's a movie. It's entertainment. So it's not going to have the actual full story.
Right. So as with as with Saving Private Ryan, where I said now we'll watch Band of Brothers, now that you've learned a whole bunch about the JFK story, there's at least one thing that we're going to have to check out together. Stephen King's 11/22/63, which is a whole Stephen King book, which is just crazy fantasy. It actually has to do with time travel, which is goofy.
Okay.
But it's based around the assassination, and there's a guy trying to stop it.
Interesting.
It is. I really enjoyed that. Don't at me if you didn't like it. The book is amazing. I have not seen the Hulu TV show with James Franco because I heard that was nuts, but we'll have to check that out anyway. Okay. So fantastic. A very long movie to sit through and take notes. I'm glad that didn't ruin the movie experience for you.
It did not.
Anyway,
it did not.
So, all right. Killed it.
It's time for Thought of the Day.
Thought of the day, thought of the day. It's your thought of the day, thought of the day.
Having slow Wi-Fi is a lot worse than having no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it is. That hurt. Yeah. That's you couldn't have said that to me 15 years ago or something like that.
No, because at that point you were like, nah, I'm just used to it.
Wi-Fi is slow. What the hell's the matter with you?
What is Wi-Fi?
Also that.
15 years ago? I don't know. Maybe.
How dependent we are on internets.
I know. So when I was
15 years ago is damn near 2010. How's that for your timeline?
That's gross.
A little bit.
That's really gross.
Yeah.
How dare you say something like
that? I know.
that?
I just ruined the whole thing.
You did. Now, Luke, you got to leave us with a laugh.
I'll do my best.
I don't think you can after that.
What's made of brass and sounds like Tom Jones?
I don't know.
Trombones.
That's so stupid. Where do you find these crappy jokes?
What's brown and sounds like a bell? Dung.
That's so stupid.
Shout out to Filthy Kyle for that one. My wife's leaving me because she thinks I'm obsessed with astronomy. I don't know what planet she's on.
That's so stupid.
Fun fact, sugar is the only word in the English language where SU makes a sh sound. At least, I'm pretty sure that's correct.
That's terrible. You have to think about that one for a second.
Pretty sure that's correct. What's blue and smells like red paint? Blue paint.
I thought that was the answer, but I was afraid to guess
Then you second guessed yourself, too.
I did.
I'm so glad you didn't ruin it, because that would have been even worse. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. What is your crazy artist rider demand? You're the biggest artist in the world. What has to be waiting at each arena for you? Let us know.
I need my bowl of Skittles with my Skittle guy.
Bowl of Skittles with your Skittle guy.
Yeah.
I need my conspiracy theorists surrounding me telling me crazy shit.
Do you really need that?
No,
though?
God, no.
I think that's a bad idea.
I just go on Facebook if I need any of that junk.
There you go.
All right. Thanks for hanging with us for another one. That was episode 71. I imagine next episode, you can count on us doing something a little bit shorter because there ain't many longer.
Oh, gosh.
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King,
we're not doing
edition.
any of those. No Lord of the Rings.
You're going to like it.
Nixing it right there.
All right. Stay tuned for episode 72. Thanks so much for paying attention, for indulging our ridiculousness. Please tell everybody you know to go to YouTube and follow us. The follows are going to be big. We want to go live soon. We need a couple more followers on the YouTube.
Don't you want to hear this live?
Yeah, don't you want to be sitting around dinner time, listen to our nonsense?
That's right.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Who wouldn't want that?
We got to eat and watch Luke and Naomi be absurd.
That's right.
I mean, you know, I do jazz hands when I sing Thought of the Day.
He does still do that.
It's worth watching.
And there are a lot of hand motions while we're talking and rolling of the eyes, so... But I'm pretty sure you can hear that.
A lot of eye rolling. Yeah, I'm sure you can hear that. Tell everybody you know. Check out our old episodes if you haven't. Luke and Naomi on air.
Find everywhere. The one where we rip apart Kevin Costner.
That's right. Probably Bull Durham, but it could also be Untouchables as well.
Okay.
And is there one? How many Kevin Costner movies have we done?
I feel like it's been a lot.
My goodness.
Yeah.
All right. Episode 72 coming sooner than 71. You know what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Wrap it up here.
All right. Luke and Naomi on air everywhere. Just Google us.
We come up.
We come up. That's right. Until episode 72, have some fun this week. Be excellent to each other.
Love you. Bye.